How's it going, everyone? I hope all of you are doing well. My name is Chris. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Today, we're just going to make a beat on the Roland MV-8000. I've mentioned in previous videos that I'm really trying to just zone in on this specific sampler. I'm having a ton of fun using it. It's like a freaking computer. You can do pretty much everything on it. It is a little slow. That is one of my complaints as far as loading projects, saving projects. I mean, and I've seen videos where an SSD is installed, so that's probably the route that I'm thinking of going. I don't know how much faster it'll be or how much more efficient it'll be, but that's definitely something that I'm thinking of doing. I already have everything chopped up. My drums are ready to go. It's all a matter of sequencing. So let's jump in. Let's see what I can come up with. Okay. Honestly, my favorite tempo to work in is about 88. I don't know why. I just feel like it's a right pocket for me, and most of the beats that I make are at 88 beats per minute. I just feel, the amount of drum space and sample and other effects or instruments that I add to it, it just gives me a good pocket. And I'm making hip hop, so the BPMs, for the type of hip hop I make are a lot slower. So I think 88 is a good number because it isn't. Normally I would start from 90 to 95, and that kind of reminds me of that 90s style hip hop that is not really fast, but it's just fast enough to kind of, get that energy going. And for me, in my case in particular, I do a lot of more chill, kick back, study, do your homework, sleep type beats. Anyway, so I have the beats per minute set to 88. I'm going to layer the drums. I like to layer the snare drum first because it kind of gives me a good groove of knowing where I'm going to put everything else. It makes me be more on beat, if that makes sense. And of course, I always put input quantize off. I want it to be natural. Nothing wrong with quantizing your drums. If I do quantize, I always quantize the snare and usually don't quantize anything else because I like that loose type of feeling, and it's more fun because you're actually practicing on getting pretty good with getting that snare just right on beat. So I'm setting my measure to count in one measure, so it's going to count 4 bars and then start recording. I know it's a little difficult to probably see the screen from the angle that I have the camera at. I do apologize about that. Yeah. So okay, so let's start. I already said record, press play. Cool. Now I'm going to set my loop on, which I haven't done so already. For anyone who is curious about how to set a loop, you go to menu, and then on the menu screen, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm sorry again. If you can't, on the menu screen, option number 16 is the one that gives you the option to loop. So you scroll down to 16, you select F5, select, and then it brings up a little window that says loop, and you have the ability to change the quick loop length to 5 measures, which is what I have it set to. Loop top starts at bar 1, loop end starts at 5-1, basically meaning it's a 4-bar sequence, right? 4-bar sequence, which I actually should change that top measure to 4. Okay, so one of the things that I do like to do when I'm working on a beat, I like to label my tracks. There's something about being organized and being familiar with every sound that you place. I do it within the computer. I do it on the Roland MV-8000. I do it on a lot of the older samplers as well if I can. It just keeps you more organized. You know what's what, you know what you can edit instead of just kind of guessing especially if you're working with like more than, I don't know, 10, 15 tracks. I mean, I would even say more than 6 tracks or 5. You have to know what's labeled, you know? That way you know what goes where, what you can change, what doesn't sound right. You can solo stuff. There's a lot of really good benefits to naming your tracks. So I'm going ahead of myself and labeling the 4 audio tracks that I'm going to be using to the sounds that I'm going to be putting on those audio tracks, just to save some time for when I'm recording everything. So, yes, okay. I'm done. Okay. I recorded my snare. Now the next thing I'm going to record is my kick drum. Okay, dokie. Let's do it. One of the things that I like to do with all the other instruments is I like to set the count in to wait for note, which basically means that as soon as I hit the desired pad, it starts recording. So I do that for the kick drum, hi-hat, and then I have an open hat as well that I'll probably won't be using that for, but if it was another like percussion sample, I would definitely be using that the wait for note count in feature. Let's do it. Not bad. So for the hi-hat, I'm going to set it to multi-level. Sorry. I don't want the hi-hat to ring at the same velocity because then it doesn't sound natural. I kind of like to use, I kind of like when the hi-hat isn't really dominating the drum sequence. So that's another reason why I don't set it to full velocity, because it could be very distracting. A hi-hat is a very good complementary drum instrument, but it just can be very overpowering sometimes, and that's very important, and that's something that everyone should really think of, is finding that perfect pocket for the hi-hat. Okay, let's record the hi-hat. Cool. I like it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm do the same thing with the open hat, but I'm going to set my count into 1 measure because obviously I don't want to open with the open hat. No pun intended. Let's do it. Cool. I like it. Okay. Now it's a matter of setting my MIDI sequence. Now the sample I'm going to be using today does have some drum instrumentation. I'm going to set that to full velocity. I'm going to turn on my effects. I'm going to set it to aux 1 because I want that lo-fi effect. There we go. Kind of don't want the noise generated. I kind of don't want the noise generator to be too overpowering. Okay, so. Okay. one of the things I like to do too is go to the patch edit and go to that patch edit screen where I can adjust the pitch. So I might go a little bit up. That might be a little too high. Probably set it to 3. I have a low pass filter set to 100. I have some analog feel, which I can't really hear, to be honest. But I mean, maybe it's doing something, maybe it's not, I don't know. I have it set to 90, I have this set to aux 1, I have my level set to 127, so the first sequence that I'm going to record is probably going to be the first sequence, and then I'm going to make a chorus, and then just see whatever other ideas I come up with, some little change-ups within the sequences, I don't know. Let's just see what we can come up with. I'm going to adjust the instrument patch again, set it to, I don't know, -3. I like to play with it a little bit when I feel like it works, it doesn't work, I like to tweak it a bit. I think that might work. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pattern 2, which might be chorus or some other form of sequence. I really like to just build a bunch of sequences, and then once I come up with a couple that I like, once I put it in Ableton, I adjust it, add some more instruments to it, and really just kind of arrange, see where it works and what doesn't. That's one of the things that I like about working on the Roland MV-8000, because it has such a high MIDI track count that you can come up with a ton of ideas and really scrap the ideas that really don't work, keep the ideas that do work, and go on and so forth.